Good morning, Judith.
Good morning, Sonya, and welcome to the Coach's Cup. This morning, we have a very special guest. Corinne Crabtree from the NoBS weight loss program is in the house. And this is a very full circle moment for myself. I first found Corinne back in 2017. And the first time I saw her, I knew that I found someone special. And what has come of this relationship that I have with Corinne has been one of a woman who sticks herself out there as a true leader and a role model, a mentor, a human being who is willing to share from her heart to be the impact of change on other people, and just her very presence in my life. Had it not been for her willingness to share this part of her and her journey, I would not be here today. I would not have lost 80 pounds. I would not have found peace with myself and my weight loss journey and my issues around it. Let's just leave it to there. Learning to create a trusting relationship with myself. And she's also, our listeners are very familiar. I will often bring up my anxiety. And a couple of times I may have said, once I was in an interview with Corinne, and I don't even know if you know this story, Corinne, but seriously, in the interview of 2019, was it? 2019, would have been 2019, November of 2019. I remember in the moment, seriously having awareness of feeling the blood leave my head. And I remember, I was having a full blown, I was frozen. And I remember saying some bullshit to you about my broken arm. Here I am in an interview having all these things I wanted to say. And we were probably about 15 minutes in, so that by that point, the panic, had all settled. I'm here, we're talking. And I wouldn't call it a blackout, but that was the beginning of my journey. Well, the beginning of the end of my pursuit of figuring out then all the bullshit I told myself after that interview. I don't even know if you don't know. So our listeners are familiar with me, are familiar with the anxiety. So again, the irony is not lost on me to be sitting here and have the privilege and honor to introduce you and speak to you in a capacity that is coherent.
That's so funny. It's so funny to me because when I hear you say all that, so if your listeners don't know, I think of Judith completely differently. We spent a week together in a beach house in Florida years ago through almost hurricane, and just hanging out. I always think of you as more of a friend. And I just think of you as,
yes.
and I know you work for me and stuff now, but I don't, you can just tell, we just have very different images of each other. So anyway, but I know you have anxiety and stuff. Sometimes I can tell when things are going on. So funny. There's certain people in the world I can tell when their thought bubble is really engaged. You are one of them. Yeah. Chris is another. I'm always looking at Chris going, what are you thinking? Because that thought bubble right now is just over your head. And I need to know.
Well, Corinne, and truly, that is when we talk about knowing thought work and learning the bullshit you tell yourself, the stories that I made up, that I wasn't good enough to be your friend. I wasn't smart enough, I told myself that, but I do feel a genuine affection for you, like no other human on this planet. There's just no way to express who you have been to me, this constant, steady figure that I sleep with every night. That I listen to every word you say, and the relationship that I've created, and the self-coaching I do through it. But then again, the flip side is that story. So when I actually get to talk to you it's interesting to be in my brain, but I am I am that person. I am your friend.
You are my friend.
I would do anything in the world for you.
Yeah. Well, and I would do the same for you. I mean, seriously, I would do the same for you. Yeah. For all, and especially all the people on our team. I mean, it's really hard. I think for me, it's really hard to separate being friends from being the boss sometimes, because I genuinely love all you guys, and it's so, I mean, if your listeners don't know, like our team is pretty much exclusively built of women that have gone through NoBS and they want to work for me. And I have coached them at times and gotten to know them. And some of them I have known for years now. And so it's interesting as we all keep marching along, trying to change other people's lives, just how our relationships grow and strengthen and change and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Well, that was very sweet intro. Probably that was the sweetest intro that I have had on a podcast ever. I'll tell you that much.
Well, again, thank you. And it's just so nice to be here with you. And I know Sonya has lined up some questions because
we'll let Sonya jump in.
Sonya.
If you know me, I'm usually not quiet this long. So, but I'm actually going to segue into something you were just talking about with the people that you've coached and are now working for you. I was listening to your interview with John Acuff, and you talked about how you, and I've heard you say this before on the podcast too, that you had started as a trainer. What made you change directions to decide that coaching is really the way to go with your business, that it's the way to help women?
So, yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And it's really an important one for when I wanted to help women. Like I'm sure there were self-development books and stuff, but I knew nothing of thought work, nothing of it. And this was in 2007. And like the diet industry teaches us, it made sense to me that I want to help other women lose weight. So here's what I should do. I should tell them what to eat and I should tell them how to exercise, because these are the things that work for me.
What everybody does.
Must be what's going to work for them. I have found the magic, formulas. And so I would bring people together. And in the beginning, I put out exercise plans. I was so into my clients, like every single week, like people were getting custom stuff. Like I was always doing all the things. I would put out menus of like, here's your starter one if you're just beginning. And if you're ready to level up, here's your menu. And if you're ready to go like healthy, here's your menu. And I spent so much time and energy on that. But what I was also doing that I didn't realize I was doing is community was always really important to me. I always knew that the best way for women to lose weight was going to be, we had to normalize what we were all going through. Like as I talked to my clients in email, I was like, they are all going through the same bullshit. They're all afraid of this and they're scared of that and they're talking this way. And so I brought them together to a community, and I would spend like a whole Sunday coming up with plans and all this other stuff. And then Sunday night, all the way till Saturday night, I was in the forums talking to them and helping them strategize what they could do and helping them feel better about themselves and giving them new ways to think, like, oh, I never thought like that. Make sure you think this way. Like I didn't know I was doing thought work until 2015. So from 2007 to 15, I was coaching, but I didn't know I was doing it. And I was doing it basically by gut, like coaching by gut. That's when I went to the life coach school and I was like, holy shit, this is all that junk that I did when I lost weight. And I started having these light bulbs go off, these moments. I was like, this is why I was able to do this. Like in this moment, this is what I was thinking that made me do this. So when I came from there, I had a decision. I had 150 members and I wanted to go all in on, we are now going to lose weight from our brain. Like we're not doing exercise plans anymore. And I'm not sending another fucking meal plan out ever again. Like just not doing it. Cause I knew it wasn't helping them because it was like, we got to figure out why you ain't doing any of that shit. Like that's going to be the answer. So we're going to quit giving you shit to do. We're going to work on your mind and you will figure out what shit to do. So in 2015, I just made a really tough decision to tell my members, this is what's changing. This is what's happening. And I gave them said from June into August, like, I will send out the last of the plans and all of this other stuff. And then I spent all that time building a website for them so that they would have all the thought work lessons and articles and all this other stuff. And in August, I raised my price a little bit, like $5.95 a month to $15.95. It wasn't exactly like,
Right. Yeah.
and that was a big move for me. But I turned on the website and said, for those who want to stay, here's the new deal. And this is how we're doing it.
Mhm.
And lost half my members,
Mhm.
like just like that.
Okay.
And took it super personally, like just, talking about Judith being friends and stuff. I was so involved in their personal lives. I had traveled with so many of them. I had, talked to them every single day. When you only have 150 members and you've had them for years, you know them.
Yeah.
And so when they left, like I was devastated for about a year. Like it was really hard for me, but I knew it was the best thing. I knew, like, I was like, you can feel like shit. You can work up through all that, but where we're going is women have to know this stuff. And now you got to go find all the people who understand they need. You got to figure out how to tell them they need it.
Yeah.
And that's when everything changed in the business. That's when I went from exercise plans and meal plans to we're going to fucking change how we think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's when I found you.
Yeah.
That's when I found you, would have been that first year of the year of change.
Well,
Yes.
that's what I remember. Sitting at Vanderbilt Weight Loss Clinic and telling the doctor, this is not a body thing for me. This is a head thing. And he's like, yeah, and here's a pill.
Right.
And he was like, and we've got a therapist who you can, schedule some sessions with her. He didn't say that she was booked 3 months solid, but, so when I first found you, it was like, I had figured out it was a head thing, but I thought I was the only person in the world who knew it was a head thing.
Yeah.
And it's so, it's very refreshing. I'm so glad that you made that leap.
Yeah.
Judith, go ahead. I know you
I'm just thinking of, I don't even know what I was thinking when I found you, except to know that I had done so many wrong things and was on a path of just destruction, and trying to figure it out was not easy. But finding you changed my life, changed my way of thinking about myself and problem solving and the mindset and learning to trust myself. Like we say that word a lot.
Yeah.
Until you fucking
It's
live
everything.
it. It's everything.
Well, I think it's important for people to realize, I mean, like, had I not been willing to feel like shit and lose people and anguish, self-loathe, do all those things to figure out where I was going, there's so many people I would have never impacted. And I think that for your listeners, that's the thing we all have to think about is there are so many opportunities we have in our life to, if you want to be someone who is helping other people's change, whether that is your kids all the way to thousands of people online, whatever it is, are you going to be willing to put yourself on the line in order to do it? Mm-hmm. And like your ego, your heart, your soul, your feelings and stuff. And, I've been very willing to do that. And I think it requires more of us to be willing to do that so that we can, getting to where you want to go is never easy because it does require a lot of like questioning of yourself, doubting of yourself, wondering if you're doing the right thing, misinterpreting the world. Like all of that comes along with trying to do something new until you figure out how to make that part easier. So it's just interesting. I've been asked this question, not exactly the way you worded it, but very similarly, just about, I think people sometimes see me and they think, well, you make so much money now. And like, you've lost 100 pounds. Like, I know that I have done, like, if you combine being a woman, 100-pound weight loss plus an 8-figure business, I would bet you I am now in the 1%. Like that weight loss win really narrows the field. I mean, it's just, That just kicked out a lot of people. But I think people see it and think it must be because there's something special about me
Right.
or different, or or like it came easy for me, and it just didn't. And there's nothing special about me. Nothing. And I don't say that as a self-deprecating thing. It's like, no, I am like everybody else. Every step was hard. Every step had me questioning myself. I spent all kinds of time crying, worrying if I was screwing up my family, worrying if I was screwing up my business. When my husband, everybody hears the glorious story of how, like, I declared my shot on May 31st and said, by this time next year, you'll be working for me. Just tell me how much money I need to make. I did it that year, but it came with a lot of work. It was a lot of me worrying that I was fucking our family up.
Mhm.
Me scared to death that like I would fail at like everything. Like I spent a year getting coached on, it's all on me now. Because now we don't have his guaranteed salary. We just got my shit. It's just like all of it always comes with work. So I don't want anybody to ever sit back and think that there's something special or unique, or that, if it's not easy for me, then that means I can't have it. It's like, no, it's just, I just kept going. I always just kept going, even when I felt like shit.
People talk about whether you're a special unicorn or not, but really the way I would define it is you're more of an outlier. Like Malcolm Gladwell talks about outliers, and they're people who've put in at least 10,000 hours.
Mm-hmm.
They look special to everybody on the outside because you make it look so easy, but really it's because you have just kept going. So in those moments, like what is the work that you've done to keep pushing in those moments of doubt?
Well, I think a lot of times when I'm doubting, I think one thing, I was thinking about this the other day. When I'm doubting something, I don't use it as the indicator to stop. And I think that that's kind of where you separate people who get their goals and those who don't, is that it's like, ooh, I feel doubt. I must be doing something wrong. And I think that I always think I feel doubt. And I'm like, okay, well, keep going to figure it out. Like if I'm doubting, it just means I just think it's normal. It still feels like shit though. I'm not going to sit here and say like when you're like worried about something, like doubt leads to worry. Like
right.
My A line always like Corinne has a self-doubt thought. Corinne feels doubtful. Her action line is a mix of things. It is the version of her that's worrying about whatever the doubt is. And I'm also taking action. I think I actually heard somebody say this the other day. I think I'm really good at hearing thoughts and feeling them. And when I feel something like doubt, I don't like have to like act on that. I act on who I want to, like, it makes sense to me that if I want to achieve things, that when I'm doubting, I have to keep going. A lot of people, what makes sense to them is if I feel doubt, ooh, that kind of sucks and that's scary.
Yeah.
I should stop so I don't have to be feeling doubtful. Let me try to figure out how to get all kinds of certainty. You just waste so much time over there.
Right.
I get certainty from keeping on going. I'm just real certain I'm going to keep going. And I literally just believe this. I literally just believe if you just don't stop, eventually you'll get lucky enough to figure out your solution. Like, I don't like I'm just like, where's the harm in that thought? Like, I don't care if it takes me until I'm 90. I'm like, well, that's way better than being very certain I won't get there because I quit.
Right.
You know?
I similarly had, I've had a lot of successes in my life and in other areas. And I've always felt of it as like, I know how to walk through fire, and that is feeling all the feelings. And I keep going. Like I am a fucking fire walker.
Yeah.
And that's at the same vein. Like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to figure it out, and just, you don't stop, because that's when the flame will swallow you.
I think just like what I'm sitting here thinking about, there's several things that I probably have overcome that have all been like emotionally really difficult. I'm always very closely tied to purpose. So like when you think about like a seesaw, like at any moment when you have to take forward action, when you have to do something to keep yourself going forward in whatever you're pursuing, whether it's me with my son when he was diagnosed with autism, I talk about, I mean, thank God I didn't listen to self-doubt, because I thought I was a fucking terrible mother who'd screwed her kid up, could never be a therapist. It was the most overwhelming thing I'd ever went through. But I kept showing up, and I'm like, why? Because my purpose was so clear.
Yeah.
It was like, he has to have me. Like, I can feel like shit all I want, but I don't have the option to give up and wait for myself to feel better, because he's waiting.
Right.
And I did the same in weight loss, and I did the same in business. Like in business, I think about all the women who are waiting on me. Like right now we're doing a bunch of stuff around my body. You know, I've been working so hard on my body image. And we took pictures this was a couple weeks ago. I mean, I've already put some bikini photos out, but these are real photos. This is me on a bed in the bra and the panties. Like, and here's what real thighs look like. Here's what this ass with all of its scars from surgery, this is what it's looking like. Like, I keep thinking somebody out there is so desperate to feel normal and to figure out that they don't have to hate themselves. That means that even if I'm not liking these pictures, and even if it's hard for me, that's not an excuse. That's just my work to do. But it's my job to be the person who'll go for it, to be the person who'll stand out there. And I think a lot of us forget that. Like we have the capacity to have all this bullshit feelings and all this bullshit drama, and like use it as an indicator to repair those relationships, to work on all that. But don't stop going after things and putting yourself out there and taking forward action just to feel better. Yeah. It's like you can do both at the same time.
Yeah, I think sometimes, you know, we, especially women, I have had my weight problem my whole life since I was 6 years old. But how uniquely qualified that makes me to overcome now.
Right.
And it has really just been the last few months that I've made that shift for myself. But, you know, if I hadn't had those particular struggles, if I hadn't had other kids making fun of me, of, you know, people being mean to me, whatever it is, then I wouldn't have had the opportunity to overcome and push forward. And that, I think that applies to most of the women in NoBS.
Yep.
It's just harnessing that. And, you know, those are the strengths that we want our listeners to understand that they have within them, whether it's a weight problem or something else. Yeah. My daughter has ADHD and didn't learn to read until she was in the 2nd grade, and has always had trouble that way. I just wanted her to never have a weight problem, and she didn't, but she had this. Yeah. So we all have something we can harness and use to move us forward.
I was the same way about Logan. I look back for so many years, I was just like, I want to lose weight so that he'll never be bullied over his weight. In my mind, the worst thing that could have ever happened to that child was to go through what I went through. Absolutely. And then it's autism. Yeah. And he had his own set of struggles and stuff. So I don't know. It's just very interesting. I think there's just a lot of realizing feeling bad is not the worst thing in the world that can ever happen to you.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's a way to build your own personal resiliency. It's a way to build a relationship with yourself. Yeah. If you'll invite it in, you know?
Yeah.
So I came across a transition here. I came across a photo in my Facebook feed, and I went to an Adele concert about, 8 years ago. The stadium, my thing was 14, I'm with 14,000 people. And I was thinking about you. I was thinking about our membership. I was thinking about the artistry of your craft and who Corinne is, and how, you know, the in essence, the creation of you standing on a stage, and how you masterfully created who you are. And I think about your past experiences, the experiences of being the Shoney's educator. Was that your title? Something like that?
I was basically I was the head of Shoney's University. So for all of you who don't know what that is, it's where every week, like, God, it was so hard. Every week they would bring in managers and area directors. There'd be about 25 to 50 of them, depending on what week it was. And I led a 5-day university. I just taught them all day, every day about all kinds of bullshit managers needed to know. And these were not exactly the nicest of dudes. It was usually almost all dudes, and all they wanted to do was check in at the restaurant and go smoke. It was like wrangling cats the entire week. But yeah, I was the trainer. I wrote all the content. Like, I was in my 20s too. I always think about that younger version of me who was like, God, you were such a fucking go-getter. And I didn't even know it. I just thought, please, God, don't fire me. I couldn't afford to go get another job.
But that's like Adele. Maybe, I don't know if she did, but maybe like she like did some singing in some CD bars or whatever, like to refine her craft.
Yeah, Shoney's was definitely my CD bar.
But like appreciating your steps in the journey to create that, because again, like thinking about the challenge group that's going on right now, I don't know, what are we at, 18,000 people?
Something like
and
that.
Like
yeah.
a stadium full of people there for your artistry, to hear your music for us all. And I was just completely drawn into thinking about like who you've become along this journey, and just so grateful for it, and thinking about your legacy that you're creating with the advanced certification program, and your desire to be that, you didn't have to do this.
Right.
You didn't have to do this. And I'm just thinking about like, what do you hope the legacy of the advanced certification to be, provide for others?
Well, so the mission of NoBS, we created a mission statement a few years ago, and we took it really seriously. The story itself is funny because I didn't want to do it. I thought it was a waste of time, and my husband was just, being a CEO blowhard and all this other shit from his corporate days. But it's been literally the guiding light for NoBS. Like Judith will tell you, the mission, like we hold everything to the mission statement. Are we supporting the mission statement? So the mission is to teach every woman, like think of the word every woman, how to lose her weight for good and feel as amazing as she deserves. And as I was kind of like, as I'm growing NoBS and doing my thing there, I really started thinking about how am I going to teach every woman? For a while, I thought it was going to be through the podcast. The podcast and the free course that I offer reaches hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, it's amazing, amazing, amazing. But I also was thinking there needs to be more people getting the way I teach it out there. I just think that the way we teach everything is so innovative and so different and refreshing and going against the typical diet, grain, that I just wanted there to be more people who could get the word out, because I will never reach every woman. But if I can help another woman, and it's actually open to men, because I feel like one of the, so NoBS weight loss for all the listeners, not open to men. That is staying for women. But the advanced certification, we're opening it up to men because as I've been really thinking about women and stuff, I'm noticing how underserved men are and how eating disorders and stuff are rising.
Oh, absolutely.
Spiking so hard in men.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to help some men become like NoBS coaches too for men. But that was the main reason why I was like, I'll never be able to do it by myself. But there are people, and there will be people that will never want to hear it from Corinne. I mean, I love me. A lot of you love me, but we get hundreds of emails a week of people who are just like, you're disgusting and you're not classy. And, like today, like you wear a halter. I can't believe how many people won't listen to my podcast and wear a halter top in my 40s. Like they have all these reasons why they're just like, this is not for me. I don't want those people to miss out on what is so good about our concepts. So like last time that I did the advanced certification, one of the girls that came through is Christian. It's all Christian based. I have a lot of people that would love to have a NoBS methodology and a NoBS coach with a Christian slant. So I wanted to be able to give people that opportunity to take their unique way, their unique stuff, and use the principles. Like, this is how we teach it. There's all the important pieces that go into weight loss. So, if you do advanced certification, you study the content that we make our members do.
Yep.
Like, you're studying it at a really deep level so that you can go out in the world and you can say it in your way, and you can really start affecting change. And all these key components now that go into weight loss.
I wanted to jump on one part of that. I'm a college professor, and for a long time, I have talked about in my freshman classes body image, and I used to bring it up. I've been teaching for 29 years now, so I've been doing this a while.
Wow.
And I used to talk about it thinking that it was going to be an opening for the women in the class. But every time there would be a young man in the class who would be, at the point of breaking down, talking about body image and the stress. And I learned really quickly that it's something that we think is a woman issue. And it's not. I am so happy to hear that you're letting men in there, because I think, where some of these guys, they do steroids, they do so many things to hurt their bodies. Yeah. And so I think it's a really important audience to hit.
It's going to be the emerging one. And it's, we get a lot of emails from men writing in, begging to get into our membership. Yeah. And it's, I'm just ready. I'm hopeful that a man or two will sign up for the advanced certification, because I got plenty of people that write in and I need somewhere to send them, because we just don't have anybody doing it for men. Well, we have a few women who are doing it for men, but
right.
I feel like, and I think that, like, trust me, for my women coaches who are helping men, like, that is not a limiting factor at all. But there are going to be men out there who are going to want to hear it from men, just like there are women who, a lot of my NoBS women, the reason why they're drawn to me is like, I don't want to do trainer. Like, I don't want to go to the gym and Jim Bob over there is giving me all my advice and tell me to, like, buck up, team no days off, they don't do that. So I just would love for people to just have that opportunity.
So where else do you see yourself branching out, maybe from the just regular membership, other than advanced certification? Any peeks into the future?
There's one thing coming out later, maybe this year, early next year, that I'm not really ready to talk about, but if you want information on it, you should go to theweightlossuniversity.com, get on the wait list for advanced certification, because that wait list is where the next announcement will come out. But I'm working on it. It's moving into the side where I am going to, so like in my advanced certification, I teach a lot of business. It's like half business, half coaching. I just have a big passion right now for helping especially female entrepreneurs figure their shit out. Like, I had to figure it out all on my own. I feel like there's like these two pivotal places in my life. Like, I figured out my weight loss on my own, and I went out and taught people, like, here's like how I figured out my weight loss. And the same thing has happened on the business side. I didn't have anybody helping me. If you think about, I was in 2007 when there was no Facebook. Google, I don't even know if Google was around, they weren't popular yet, because I just remember Yahoo, and I don't even remember what the other thing was. There were I didn't have as much opportunity as people have today. But what I do remember, it was like, so if it was actually harder for me to figure it all out, why are people today having such a hard time figuring it out? You can get a website out of a box. You can have a website up in a minute these days. Like, there's like, the how is not the problem.
Right.
It is, how are you going to think like a motherfucking CEO from the day you declare you're starting your business? Before you have to be in, like, for me, I always think about when I first started helping people, I never thought about being new. I never thought about, like, well, I don't have clients yet. Like, all that drama, I did not do that. And so, like, I want to be able to help other women figure out their shit. They have too much impact to make in the world to be sitting there and not doing it because they're afraid. They think they don't know. They're feeling like a wilted flower. So I'm kind of working more on that side. I want to kind of that's probably the direction I'm headed into next. And I'm also going to write a book. So I've already written it pretty much, like the first, like roughest of drafts. But I will be spending this next year really getting into writing the book. Like I have told myself it will come out sometime in 2022. I don't care if it's December 31st of 2022, but like I'm going to figure out how to get it out into the world between now and then. So I'm really working on right now. We're closing up kind of like our big push for 2021 is over this month. And then it's like, okay, Corinne's now going to spend time figuring out what are the next key things. And we're going to be very focused, very targeted, and we're only going to do a few things and we're going to do them well.
Wow. And just even hearing you speak, I'm getting so excited. And I'm like Corinne, like the master of so many things and the master of her time and how she spends it. It truly walks the walk and talks the talk. And I see it every day with my own two eyes. And I'm just blown away, still blown away. I have sat front row of your concert, air quotes. Is this not true, Corinne?
You've got the lighter.
You're the foam finger, a lighter, and like a t-shirt on the front row, like, bring it. And I know all the words.
I do. I truly feel like that. We were talking about questions and I'm like, well, I know the answers.
Yes. Every question I come up with, she goes, I know the answer to that.
That's so funny.
And I said, well, I still want to ask it.
But this is the thing, like everybody should pay attention though. Like Judith, I mean, you'd get over the part where she just loves me, but just think about Judith and her success. Her success is not because of Corinne. It is because Judith has listened to the words. She knows all the songs. She does the work. She shows up all the time. She does it when it doesn't feel good. I mean, when she's lost 80 pounds and now she's working for, like, to me, the number one weight loss company. When it comes to mindset, we're the number one. Like nobody's even touching us right now. Fuck Noom. They're actually not a mindset weight loss diet place. We have stories to tell on how we know this one. But it's like, when you think about it, and now she works for like the premier weight loss company as a coach. So
as an amazing coach.
Yes. One of our most in demand. She has a wait list most times. Yep. So this is like, like I always love, like, it's easy to, I think a lot of times it's easy for me to get a lot of credit for things. Mm-hmm. And all I really do, like, I'll take credit for my success, but I'm never going to take credit for somebody else's, because all I really do is I put a lot of stuff out there that I know if you'll fucking listen and do what I say, it'll work for you. You just got to like do the stuff. But it takes that other person willing to trust that and willing to do it and to keep going when they don't want to. That part has to happen. I can only go halfway. The other part is you running with the ball. And so I always just want to make sure people really understand that, you need to always own your part of things. Not that you're not, Judith, but I think that what ends up happening is a lot of times we forget how powerful we are in the equation. Right. Like for a long time, I've given a lot of credit to my mentor. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I stopped giving her credit and started giving myself credit did I start really settling down and feeling like the person that I am. Like I had to stop that part. And it didn't take anything away from my mentor, but I just realized how much of my own greatness I was just like, well, I have a great husband. Well, I have a great mentor. Well, I have this. It's like, I think we do that a lot of times. Like even in weight loss, somebody will say, I lost weight. And it's like, well, I got lucky. Well, I didn't have any problems this week. Well, my family was supporting me this week. Yeah. Like, no, you fucking showed up every day. You stopped eating when you weren't hungry. You stopped eating when you had enough. Like you did all of that. Mm-hmm. It wasn't outside forces. And so anyway, I just wanted to say all that. I don't know why.
I am so glad, like on a personal level, that you said those words, because I hear them, because I just kind of feel like I'm stepping into that kind of mindset myself. With my mom passing away this year and things that have happened, the distractions, that there's been clarity. and owning this. And I think that's even what for me is symbolic. Having you here for me is like, yeah, I am stepping into that. I'm a pretty darn good little coach.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love my clients, and it's an amazing opportunity.
Yes.
And I did create this.
You did.
Yeah.
Like, so Judith didn't get hired the first time either.
Nope.
No,
Like,
I blacked out.
and let me just tell you, this is the thing. I love Judith to death. One of the hardest things I ever done is tell Judith no, but she came back. She got her, like, between that interview and the next time, she got her shit together. She was like, I got shit to work on. That wasn't my time. But she didn't say it wasn't my time, must not be meant to be. She was like, not this time. And she went to work. So, I mean, anyway, people should know that you always have been, you persevere.
We talk about that journey because I was on it with her. And I remember seeing, I mean, there was one day where it just hit me. Oh my goodness, this is a different Judith. She is here, and seeing that. But you know, I think with my clients, the biggest thing that I see consistently is women not able to take that credit for themselves.
Agreed.
And yeah, it's something that we talk about a lot on the podcast, because when you tell them you've got to celebrate that, and they're just like, you know, they don't know where to begin. So, well,
and it's the thing about it that's important about celebrating and reiterating success and stuff is that your brain is a pleasure seeker. It is like it. I mean, one of the things it wants is like dopamine and pleasure. And we deny ourselves so much pleasure in our thinking because we don't want to take time to say like, no, I am doing a really good job. Even if you don't want to shout it to the rooftops yet, at least start shouting it out in your own journals.
Right.
Shout it out in some writing, start writing about it. It's, one of the things that people tell me all the time is like, yeah, well, I don't want to come across as egotistical and I don't want to come across as bragging. I'm like, look, if you're trying to figure out how to just start acknowledging that you aren't a fuck up, I'll let you know if that ever happens. Yeah, but good luck even getting to that side. Not happening.
All right. It's about time to wrap it up. Judith, do you have anything else that you want to ask?
I just I know all the answers, remember?
That's right.
I think I do anyway, because I am always listening, Corinne. And I just what an honor to watch you up on stage and to listen to you play your music. And thank you for being the beautiful artist that you are, for showing up and showing us all of you, right? Quite literally. We're going to see you in some photos.
yeah, y'all are going to see a lot. I haven't even looked. I will tell you, my own personal work is they sent me the files 3 or 4 days ago. I don't remember when they sent them. It's earlier this week, and I've yet to open them. I've been doing my thought work on it. Like I've been telling myself, like, here's how we're going to think about this. But I don't want it to be, I already know what my habit brain's going to say, but I don't want to ruin my own experience of seeing them. I want to be prepared to look for what's right. I want to be prepared to also have all the thoughts and be compassionate with myself, and also know why I'm doing this, why this is so important, why I would even do this kind of stuff. So, it just, so that all of your listeners know, it's still not easy. It's not like I just sit around like a robot and just like, yeah, just so brave, so powerful. So all the things it's, I have all my own stuff I work through, but I'm just willing to work on it, And
thank you for sharing.
But I'm thinking, I was once a photographer, but I'm even thinking like, what if you just decide to love them?
And that is what I'm coaching myself to. I will love them. Here's what I know will happen with these photos. I will love me for doing it.
Yes.
Like that in and of itself is worth all of it. But I also know my habit brain. Like my habit brain, I can walk by any mirror and it can just be like, see a little bit of crepe. What are you doing over there? Like, it's just, I know what it's going to do. And so I don't want to go in unprepared for that. Like, I really want to go in ready to have my own back, ready to tell myself how I'm also going to think. I've had to work so hard on like my body image stuff. that it's important to me to always stay on track with it, because if when I'm not managing it, the old habit stuff just wants to become the new narrative all the time. And I don't care if I have to do this work until I'm 90. I would much rather work on loving myself until I'm 90 than giving up and just letting the old shit happen, So.
Well, I thank you so much for that and for sharing your process. I think it was maybe last October's camp. I remember you talking a lot about how we need to normalize, normal bodies. And then seeing you put out pictures and other women in NoBS put out pictures. And I realized the other day, it has really changed a lot of the thoughts that I have. Just seeing those on a regular basis has changed my expectation and my level of acceptance with myself.
Yes.
So I appreciate it so much.
You're so welcome.
And it's true. Like the Facebook feed for the group is full of women in bathing suits and bikinis and some more boudoir shots showing up. It is nice. It is very nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Corinne. We appreciate your generous time and all of the information. We will be back next week talking about self-awareness. So right on the same vein. We're just going to continue that conversation. Listeners, if you are looking for a coach, you can find more information on my coaching at sonyagreencoaching.com.
And you can find me if you just Google Corinne Crabtree, NoBS weight loss system, anything, you're going to find me. Wherever you're going to find Corinne, you can find me to work with me.
Yeah. All
and
right.
I want to get a photo, so don't leave, Corinne.
All right. Well, we're going to get a photo, but we'll see you all next week.
Bye.